Just watched the Joseph Parker fight against Carlos Takam. I thought it was an entertaining fight. At times, I was sitting on the edge of my seat thinking, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Um, I think that Carlos Takam was a very good test for Joseph Parker. He's very, very experienced. He's fought at world level. He's only had two losses, and one of those losses came to Alexander Povetkin. So he was very tough. He was very durable and very experienced. So it was a good test for Parker, as I say. Obviously, Joseph Parker is the hype job. A lot of people are saying that he's an up and coming prospect and heavyweight, which he is. The reason I say hype job, I'm not saying that he's not a good fighter or he is a good fighter. I'm saying that there's a lot of excitement surrounding him, just like there is Anthony Joshua. So this was a very good test because up until this point, he didn't fight anybody of note really, and he just stepped up to the plate to fight someone like Carlos Takam, who'd been there and done it. Kind of similarly, I'm not comparing the fighters, but kind of similar to Chris Eubank when he fought Billy Joe Saunders. He wasn't fighting anybody, although Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank had the same amount of fights. Billy Joe Saunders seemed to have the better opposition under his belt. So Chris Eubank was fighting what some people would call tomato cans, and then he just jumped to Billy Joe Saunders' level. And I don't think he was necessarily ready for that at that time. And it's a similar thing with Joseph Parker. I think he didn't really fight anybody of note, and then he kind of worked his way up, and then he fights someone like Carlos Takam, who is, as I say, tough, strong, durable, and he's fought at world level, and his only losses against Alexander Povetkin. But it showed us a lot about Joseph Parker. I mean, I didn't catch the whole fight. I was out in the morning, so I only watched it from round 5. But when I looked at the scorecards, Joseph Parker had pretty much controlled the fight up until that point. And what I saw was Carlos Takam coming forward and stalking him, but not really putting him under that much pressure. So it allowed Joseph Parker to kind of get his shots off, his combinations off. And, he didn't really put him as much pressure or apply as much pressure as he should have, because I think various times throughout the fight, Takam was coming forward and he was putting pressure on Joseph Parker, and Joseph Parker was really didn't know what to do because he got caught with some really, really big shots. I mean, really big shots. And it says a lot about, Joseph Parker. It tells us that he's got a good chin, but he's quite, defensively he needs to improve. So, as I say, he's got a good chin. He took some great shots, and at times he looked wobbled and he looked in trouble. I think when Carlos Takam was putting pressure on him, it made him really look uncomfortable. And it says a lot about Joseph Parker. He's got a terrific jab. The jab was very good, but I think Takam took it away from him in the middle of the fight. But when Joseph Parker was able to establish the jab again, it looked very good. Keeps his hands low, and when he gets the jab out, it's an effective jab. So he took the jab away from Joseph Parker, but then, as the fight progressed, Joseph Parker was allowed to kind of use it a lot more because, as I say, Carlos Takam was stalking him, but wasn't really putting him under pressure. He did it sometimes, and when he did it, he made Joseph Parker look uncomfortable, and Joseph Parker took a lot of hard shots. So it tells us about Joseph Parker that, when he's allowed to plant his feet, when he's allowed to throw his shots, when he's allowed to kind of trade and do what he does best, that is throw big shots, he looks good. But when he's under pressure, he looked a little bit vulnerable. And as I say, defensively, he looked vulnerable, and I think he needs to work on that. And I think also the inside fighting, he was good, but again, he can improve a lot on that. So I think overall it was a good fight for Joseph Parker. He showed us some flaws, and he showed us some strengths and some positives. But as I say, he's still a prospect. He's still up and coming, relatively untested up to this point. He showed us a lot. But he's still learning. He's still got a long way to go. So we'll wait and see how things progress. If you want me to be honest, though, I think Anthony Joshua will beat him convincingly. I think Anthony Joshua will beat him inside of 5 or 6 rounds. I think Anthony Joshua's power is going to be too much. And I think Anthony Joshua will beat him. Having said that, though, on the flip side, Joseph Parker has got some good hand speed. Not afraid to let his hands go. Throw some good combinations. And I think he will let his hands go. And if he gets Anthony Joshua with a very good combination, you don't know what can happen. We all saw what happened in the fight against Dylan White, where he took a shot and he wobbled. But look, at the end of the day, if you were to take any heavyweight throws a decent punch, and if you get one on the chin, I don't care if you're Mike Tyson. We've seen it in the past. Ali, if you get it square on the chin, it's going to cause you some damage. It's going to wobble you. So it's not necessarily a criticism of Anthony Joshua, because he recovered well, and dominated the fight. But when you've got somebody like Joseph Parker, who's going to be throwing quick, fast, strong combinations, could be a threat for Anthony Joshua. But in my opinion, I think if Anthony Joshua, boxes and puts him under pressure, I think it will be a victory for Anthony Joshua. So they were obviously watching that fight, the Joshua team. I think they're going to go away from this thinking we can take this fight. Confident that, they could beat him. That's my opinion. So I think after Anthony Joshua beats Brazil, then you never know. He might take the Parker fight, because I don't think he's necessarily a threat, and it will look good on his resume. But as I say, it wouldn't be a walk in the park, because Joseph Parker can take a great shot, and he throws punches in combinations, and he's fast and he's quite strong, and he can take a punch. But I think Anthony Joshua would beat him. So let's see how everything transpires. Also heard that since we're on the subject of heavyweight boxing, Dylan White has also signed with Matchroom Promotions, which is really good, because he's now on the undercard. Chris Eubank's on the undercard, and I think it's a smart move by Eddie Hearn, because these are British fighters that everybody's talking about. So it was clever of Eddie Hearn to get Dylan White on board, because he's a good prospect, and he likes to talk, and he's quite entertaining, and it's going to be a decent card in June. Can't remember the exact date. Also tonight we've got Shannon the Cannon, aka Let's Go Champ Briggs, fighting tonight, and we also have David the Haymaker fighting tonight. Both guys should win their respective fights, which should lead to a very good showdown between Shannon Briggs and David Hay. But yeah, the heavyweight division is looking very good. Anyway, big congrats to Joseph Parker. Well done on doing the business. Let me know your comments in the section.